So have you ever really thought about your body as a fortress? I mean, it's this incredible living castle that's always working to keep you safe from everything out there. And today, we're going to grab the blueprints and figure out exactly how to defend it.
And you know, it's a really serious question, because every single day, your fortress is up against all sorts of threats. We're talking invisible invaders, internal weaknesses, you name it. Figuring out how to keep those walls strong and train the guards inside, well, that's the absolute key to living a long and healthy life.
Okay, so before we jump into battle plans and defenses, we got to get one thing straight. What does a strong, well-maintained fortress even look like? What does it actually mean to be healthy? Because I'll bet it's a bit more than you might think. So what is health really? Well, the official definition, it goes way beyond just, not being sick. It's a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. It's that old saying, a sound mind in a sound body. Basically, it's the whole shebang.
So how can you spot one of these well-defended fortresses in the wild? Well, there are some pretty clear signs to look for. We're talking about things like clear skin, bright eyes, having a good appetite, and getting a really sound night's sleep. And look, these aren't just little things. They're the flashing lights on the dashboard telling you that all the systems inside are running just right.
All right, so we know what a healthy fortress looks like. Now it's time to get to know the enemy and the threats to our health. They basically fall into two big categories. You've got the threats that pop up from inside the fortress walls, and then you've got the invaders that attack from the outside.
And this really breaks down the two-front war we're fighting. On one side, you have your non-communicable diseases. These are the internal threats. Think of them like malfunctions inside the fortress's own machinery. Things like diabetes or allergies. You can't catch them from someone else. But then on the other side, you've got the communicable diseases, the external invaders. These are caused by germs, what we call pathogens, that break through our defenses, and yeah, they can absolutely spread from person to person.
Okay, let's zoom in on those external invaders for a minute. How do these germs, these pathogens, actually get past our walls and into our bodies? Well, it turns out they've got some pretty clever tricks up their sleeves.
So, what are their main methods of attack? Let's break down their playbook.
Well, one of the sneakiest ways in is through what scientists call vectors. Just think of them as tiny flying assassins. A mosquito, for instance, can carry nasty stuff like malaria or dengue fever and just inject it right into your bloodstream. Talk about a stealth attack right past the main gate.
Another classic move is to go after the supply lines, our food and water. I mean, think about this. A single housefly can buzz around in garbage, picking up millions of germs on its little legs, and then it lands right on your food. It's basically dropping off a whole army of invaders right onto your plate.
And then, of course, you've got the invisible attacks. When someone who's sick with the flu or something coughs or sneezes, they shoot out these tiny invisible droplets just loaded with germs. And if you're nearby, you can just breathe them right in. The germs just float right past your defenses.
Of course, germs also use some pretty low-tech methods. There's direct contact, literally just touching someone who's sick, and then there's indirect contact, which is when you touch something they've touched, like sharing a towel, a cup, or even a phone. Okay, that all sounds a little scary, I know. We've seen how the enemy can get in. But here's the good news, we are not helpless. We have some seriously powerful ways to fight back. So the big question is, how do we reinforce our walls, sharpen our defenses, and build an even stronger fortress? Your absolute first line of defense is personal hygiene. Seriously, think of it as the daily upkeep on the fortress. Taking a shower with soap, that's you scrubbing the outer walls, getting rid of any invaders trying to find a way in. Washing your hands? That's like having a strict security guard at the main gate, checking every single thing that tries to get in through your mouth or eyes. Even just keeping your hair and teeth clean gets rid of hiding spots for the enemy. These simple, everyday habits are, no joke, incredibly powerful. But you know, for some of the really tough invaders, we need to bring in the special forces, and that's where immunization comes in. A vaccine is basically a training session for your body's army. It introduces a safe, weakened version of an enemy, so your immune system can study it, figure out its weaknesses, and get ready for the real deal. It is literally like giving your soldiers the enemy's battle plans ahead of time.
But look, sometimes, no matter how good our defenses are, things happen. An accident, an injury, a breach in the wall. That's when you need a solid emergency response plan, and that plan is called first aid.
So let's play this out. Imagine a common accident. Maybe you're cooking and you get a nasty burn. The first instinct might be to panic, but that's the last thing you should do. Knowing the right steps right away can make all the difference. Okay, here's the protocol.
For a superficial burn, the very first thing you do is get cold water running over it, immediately. Cool it down. After that, you'll want to cover it with a dry, sterile dressing. And here's a really important tip, what not to do. Do not slather on stuff like butter or Vaseline. It actually traps the heat in and can make the burn worse.
All right, how about another one? What if someone takes a fall and you think they might have a fracture? Making the wrong move here could cause a lot of damage. So, what's the right first aid response?
The #1 golden rule for a suspected fracture is do not move it. Your job is to keep the person as comfortable and calm as possible, but don't try to move that fractured part. If it's an arm, for example, you can create a simple sling to support it and hold it steady. The whole goal here is just one word, stabilization.
And as we start to wrap this up, it really all boils down to that one timeless piece of advice. Everything we've talked about, from washing your hands to getting vaccinated, it's all built on one simple idea. It is so much better to stop the attack from ever happening than it is to fix the damage afterward.
So I'm going to leave you with this one last thought to take with you. As you go about the rest of your day, just think about your own fortress. Is there a wall that could use a little reinforcing? A new habit you could start? Ask yourself, what's one defense I'm going to strengthen today to make my fortress that much more secure?